platform to be able to help you launch the web-based version of SolidWorks. But Joe, I know, has SolidWorks at Kelso High School and is in need of some sort of cloud-based platform software for starting off this year. Melissa's from Kelso School District as well. And then Diane is Clover Park, who is another large SolidWorks user, and they are also in need of a remote solution. So that's all who's here. So Ryan, I'll let you take over.
Cool, awesome, thank you so much. So as you mentioned, my name's Ryan Kohler. I work at SolidWorks. You guys are in my lovely apartment right now over in Portland, Maine. So hopefully if anybody likes Maine, then you get the little view. But I'm a territory sales manager, but previously I've done teacher training, I've done business analytics, I've done technical, a little bit of everything. So mechanical engineer that kind of does, what's the phrase? Jack of all trades, master of none. So that sounds about accurate. But what we'll go through today is I'll do a quick little presentation. Don't want to spend too much time in PowerPoint. I'm actually not a big fan of PowerPoint. And then we'll hop in and I'll show you exactly what it is and how it works. But I want to be upfront about some things, just to be clear from the beginning. So this is not the same thing as SolidWorks. It's designed and created by SolidWorks R&D and CATIA R&D, and it's completely cloud-based. So if I'm sure the first thing that pops up is always Chromebooks. That's always a topic of discussion, especially with COVID and students being at home. So Chromebooks, yes, it works on them. We have a lot of schools using it on Chromebooks right now. We just started selling it pretty much in March of this year, and we already are almost at like 60 plus schools in North America right now that are using it. So it's been pretty popular, especially the fact that it works on Chromebooks. So it is different. A lot of it's a different product than anything you've probably seen out there because it's more than just CAD. And I'll get into more details about what that is and what that looks like. But there's going to be a lot of information, so feel free to jump in at any point and ask questions. I like this to be open. If you have a question, I want to make sure I answer it. I don't want to just go through and just do the generic demo, because if there's certain things that pop up and you're like, I don't care about that, but I care about this, please ask. So let's make it nice and open so everybody can ask questions whenever they want. All right, enough about that. Let's hop in. So to start off, we actually have 3 different offers. This one I'm going to show you is called 3D Designer for Education. We have a version below this that doesn't include any CAD, but it's all the collaboration aspects. But our platform is a lot of collaboration, as well as data management and management tools and CAD. So it's designed for a company. So you have a small company, large company, basically anything that you have group projects and things like that going on, where you can manage your files, you can manage the actual product life cycle and all those different things. So it's meant for what the students will eventually be doing in the work and when they get a commercial job. So that's what it's designed for. Now, a lot of these translate perfectly over to schools and what you're doing in classroom, group projects, and different things. Now, the way this is designed is it has roles, apps, and dashboards. So a role, 3D Designer for Education, is a role. Now, within that role, you're going to have a ton of different apps. So different apps for two for CAD, some for communication, some for project planning, different things. And you can basically take those apps or those windows, and you can create custom dashboards that are made specifically for you, or you can make one that you want to share with your students, or maybe at the end of the class, you go, hey students, I want you to create your own dashboard and basically present the project. So you can do a lot of different things with them. It's a lot of freedom, but also you can make it so that students use, or they have the one that you want them to use. Now, just like SolidWorks, or if you don't know, just SolidWorks, we use exactly the same thing as commercial. So SolidWorks, the only difference between education version and commercial is a watermark. That's it. If you didn't know, SolidWorks education version has over 10 plus commercial products built into it. It's actually worth over $120,000 per seat the student is using. So just what's installed on a student computer, if you got rid of the watermark, would be over $120,000 just of software. So we give you guys all the bells and whistles. And it's very similar with 3D Designer. There's tons of tons of stuff in here that makes it commercially would be very expensive, but we're able to bring the price down a lot in education. So the first two things in the top left there, collaborative business innovator and industry innovator, are just the two things that the platform runs on. So those are the two roles that are needed in order to run the platform in the cloud. And it has a lot of cool features that I'll go over in more detail when I get into the demo part, of like web links, web page readers, web notes, and a few other things for storage, cloud storage, and files. Now, bottom left hand, this isn't usually as important for K through 12, but if anybody here has been in industry previously, project planning is a huge thing that when you get into the CAD world and you get into designing, you eventually have due dates and you have tasks and things you need to complete, and you have a product manager that needs to make sure all those things get done on time. Well, that's built in. So that's one of the few things that we see, especially at the university level when the students are graduating, that they don't have any knowledge of. And when they get into like the workforce, they all of a sudden need to know how to do it, and then the company has to train them. Now, the top two on the right are our CAD modelers. We have XDesign, which is, if you've used SOLIDWORKS before, you can hop in and use it pretty much no issue. It's exactly the same icons you would see in SOLIDWORKS. The setup is just a tiny different. Instead of the bar being at the top, it's at the bottom, and all the same features you would see. And there are more things that we're adding in as time goes on. So SOLIDWORKS, base SOLIDWORKS is just the CAD stuff. And then like simulation, flow, and CAM, and those things are going to be added in across like the next few years as we add more and more products in and we create them. But just if you wanted to create, the computer you're working on, or your cell phone, or a case for the cell phone, or different things your students are designing in class, design-wise, you can do all of it right now. Now, the one underneath that is the subdivision modeler called XShape. Now, this is something really cool. This is that free-form, push-pull sort of blob that you can mold and shape into anything you want. So if you think about like a bicycle helmet would be pretty difficult to design in SOLIDWORKS. It's very, aerodynamic, has all these different curves on it and all these different things. You would use a plastic injection mold to kind of make that outside shell, but it's not easy to do in SOLIDWORKS with surfacing. With this XDesign, XShape, you can easily make designs like that. And then finally, the one on the bottom right, this is our desktop communicator. It basically allows you to connect and basically bring your SOLIDWORKS files into the platform while you're using SOLIDWORKS. Now, most of the students, I'm assuming, don't have powerful enough computers, and that's why we're having this discussion right now. So they probably can't run SOLIDWORKS at home. So that one's not as important right now. But if you get back to the classroom and you want to use like the cloud to bring the CAD files in to do the large assembly, you can do that. It's not a perfect transition. They're made on two different kernels, the platform and SOLIDWORKS. So you can bring the files in from SOLIDWORKS into the platform and use them just fine. But you won't have your full feature history that you would have inside SOLIDWORKS because the part was natively made in SOLIDWORKS. But usability of that part in assemblies and different things works just fine. Now,
hey, Ryan, I got a couple questions real quick.
Yeah, perfect.
So, sorry, on that last slide, can you go back?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 3D modeling tool.
Yep.
Now I got on one version that was like a trial version thing. This isn't talking about the sketch thing, is it? Where you can sketch stuff and then kind of make a 3D model with it?
So actually, that's a good question. XShape has that functionality in it. So we're actually full touchscreen capability, and you can use like the pens and stuff. And XShape, it actually has a function where you could draw on the touchscreen, and then it would create the blob from that.
But this 3D modeling tool is, maybe it's not the full version of SolidWorks, but if I have them design things, they can design pretty well, or basically like you would with the full SolidWorks. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Almost all the tools you would use, like extrude, sweep, patterns, almost all the sketch entities are in there. The only thing I will be very blunt about, which is coming, I did get an update. It should be February. Is we're going to be adding in. It doesn't have a drafting thing right now. So XMBD. All our complete cloud products always have an X in front of them, apparently. So XMBD, model-based definition, is coming in February of next year. And so right now there isn't a way to basically do your 2D, you know, drawing views that you would, you know, send to the machine shop. But
Okay.
when it comes to actually designing, it has almost all the same bells and whistles when it comes to CAD.
Okay.
Yep. And
Good, good.
don't worry, I'm gonna show you it, and I'm actually gonna
Okay.
make some stuff so you
Perfect.
can
All
actually
right.
see it. Yeah,
Perfect.
this is why I try not to spend too much time with the PowerPoint because I actually want to
Yeah.
go in there and show you.
Awesome. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So now the question, actually, this is for all of you. What do you guys use LMS systems right now? Do you use like Schoology or something like that?
We use
Or
Microsoft Teams.
you use Teams? Okay, especially for like the web meetings and stuff. Okay.
Right.
Yep. And Joe, do you guys use anything?
Yeah, no, we're just using the Google Classroom and Zoom.
Okay, well, actually, this might be really helpful then. So the way the platform is set up is there's an admin level and a member level. Now, because of that, obviously you guys are looking at CAD, but a lot of times LMS systems are really important to be able to see what the students are doing, to be able to full control to like see and take a look at the file or see what they're talking about or all these things. It has an area where you can chat, it has an area where you can save all your files, but as the admin, you have full ability to see everything. So it's almost like you have an LMS system. It's almost like you have the student, you can actually make an individual space for each student to save their files. And that way they can't interact with all the other students and they can't like copy their files and stuff like that and like pretend it's theirs. But even if they did do that, you have the ability to check and see if they actually cheated as well. So it's kind of like the platform itself is a combination of CAD and LMS at the same time. And I'll go through a bunch of those features so you can see what that looks like. Now, this is more for a university level, but something funny, you know, I was out, what did I miss for homework? Or, you know, take a look at the syllabus because I put it on there. So if you use Google Docs, which is actually going to be my question on this page, you can actually embed Google Docs as view only directly into web page readers in the platform. And you could list out all the assignments and the due dates. And you could list out like your syllabus of like everything and they can see it, but they can't edit it. So they can't change it. It's what you post. And that's one of the things that like creating these custom dashboards. And I'll show you what those look like. Now, this isn't as boring. I'm gonna skim through this really quickly. This is just the 3 areas that we see it being used. It seems like CAD, just a replacement for CAD for you guys is probably the priority. You need CAD, you need it on the cloud, and that's the priority. But there are also people that are purchasing this platform for all the other stuff, for the collaboration, for the project management, and all those other things, as well as then you have like a lot of the university levels, which they want it for everything because they have like student teams and senior design projects, which a lot of schools have projects as well, where you're communicating, managing, and doing the CAD files all at once. So that's what that looks like. Now, before I hop into the demo, is there any other questions? No? All right. So let's hop in fresh. Let me log in. And just so you know, I am at home. Obviously, this is not the office. They do have Pelotons at the office, but this is not the office. I'm using my home internet. I'm basically using a gaming computer. I have my own gaming computer. I'm not using like a CAD computer. And this is just completely in a browser. So this is what the platform looks like. Very simply put, you know, it has these different tabs you can create. You have this icon on the left over here, which is I call it the burger symbol because it looks like it has 3 stacks like a burger. And this is where all your dashboards are. So you can custom make dashboards any way you want. In this case, I have like a class view or a teacher dashboard. But as the admin, I also have 2 other dashboards, members management and platform management. And this is where you can, how many of you are familiar with Adobe and their named users, the way Adobe does their software? No? Okay. So Adobe uses, and we do the same thing, it's named users. So you basically invite the individual students with an email address to the platform, and that consumes one of the roles. So for example, 30 is our base level. So if you did 30, a 30 user, you would be able to invite, including yourself, 30 people to the platform. And they would use those roles. As you can see here, we have 5 members on this demo tenant, and we have 5 remaining invitations. So this is how many people, because this one's a 10, but this is internal only, and this is what we have to show. Now for members, it's kind of cool. You can see, if I switch to view, you can see all the people that have been invited. I'm in here twice because I like to test stuff. So I have me as an administrator, but me also as a member, so I can see what the students are doing. We have colleagues, Johnny and Mike as well. And then we have the roles. Now you wouldn't see all these roles. We have access to everything, but you would see 3D designer, collaborative business innovator, and collaborative industry innovator. Now, when you invite students, very simple. You type in, let's say, their email address. You put in their email address, you choose member, and that's it. And then you click next. And then you just choose the role, 3D designer, okay? And you have these 3 roles. You hit next. This is the SolidWorks connector that I talked about, where you connect to the desktop if you want to, and then that's it. You click invite. Now I would get the invitation. If I didn't have an account, I would create an account and I would log in, and then you're in. Now, when the students are in, once they're in there, you can then create something or pre-create a dashboard for them. So in this sense, what I did was I created a dashboard for students. So we got 4 tabs up here. We got class info, CAD, community, and project planner. Now, as a teacher, you can do whatever you want. You could have one tab that's just CAD and another tab for community, which is where they can chat and stuff. Or you can just have CAD and that's it. So it's all, you can design this any way you want. I'll show you how easy it is to design stuff. Now in this one, I have 2 web page readers, web notes, and quick links. These are all individual apps. Now in the top left-hand corner, you can see all the apps that you have access to. Now there's more apps than you need, and there's some of these you'll never use, like Feed Reader or Drive or Compare and stuff like that. You'll probably never use them, but as we said, we'd like to mirror commercial. We like to make it so you have the same features that commercial is using. So even though you might not use them, the students might use them in the future. So we just basically dragged in a few of these. In this sense, remember how I mentioned the syllabus. This is a web page reader. This is a Google Doc that Johnny Kim made of a syllabus. And basically it just says, you know, the office hours, the information, all that stuff. And I can't edit it. All I can do is basically copy stuff or select things, because if we look, and the students can't do this, but I can because I'm the owner, I can see that it's a sharing version of a Google Doc. So you can embed an Excel, like a Google Sheet with information or whatever you want directly in here. And the nice thing is, even if I press F11, I can go full screen inside Chrome with F11, and I can maximize and minimize any one of these to get a full view of what's going on. Now, you guys don't have an LMS system, so you won't have to worry about this. But if existing, Babson has their own Canvas LMS system, so you can embed that in as well. But then you also have notes. So I could say, like, you know, don't forget your homework is due. And I could put a note in here, and then all the students can see the note, and they can't edit it, but they can see it. But then also I can add quick links. So let's say you use OneDrive, or you use our SolidWorks certifications, or whatever different links you might want to add. You can add all these quick links below, and this could be for learning content. Like we have an XDesign learning path, so students can learn how to basically use XDesign, and you can walk through each e-learning thing, and they can do it on their own at home. So you can add those links in here as well. Now, before I get into CAD, I'm going to save that for last because I want to spend the most time on that. I just want to jump over to community real quick. So community is our 3D swim. This is where students can come and you can create a specific community for your class, or for a group project, or for just everybody that's on the platform. And you can basically post things. You can post a picture, an idea, a question, a survey, and you can also limit what students can do. So if you only want the students to be able to post a question or an idea, you can make it so that that's all they can do. And besides that, you can make posts, and they can only comment on it. But at the same time, they can have conversations. So you can have a conversation directly with a student. Students can have conversations with each other, but you have visibility to that as well. As the admin, you can basically see what's going on. But this is also a great way to post to a student like, hey, I took a look at the homework problem you made, and you can basically make some comments on it, and you can post it directly to a conversation just to them so no one else can see it, and say, hey, you need to fix this. So instead of having to email them separately, you can say, hey, here's a picture. here's an arrow at this specific thing. You put the wrong dimension here, please change this. So it has that ability as well. Now, Project Planner might not be as important to many of you, but there's one thing that is really good about it, which might work well in the classroom, is you can actually create. So if I were to create quickly a project, in here, what I can do is I can actually create individual tasks. So you see in the task area, I can create a task saying like homework 1. Now in homework 1, I can put a due date on it. I can say what the priority is, description, I can put how much % done it is, or I can just put very simply a due date. And I can just say, you know, this is fixed, plan start, and I want this one to be done, you know, next week. And I can even I can assign it to people. So if you create this thing called a user group, you can put all the students in the user group, and I can assign it to a user group, which means that all of them will get a notification when this thing's due. They'll all get notified like, hey, this is due soon. So this is also a great way for you to basically create those homework assignments. And then when they're all created, you'll actually see a nice Gantt chart view of every single assignment with the date and what's going on. That's pretty cool. Now, this is one of those things, as I mentioned, this is something that we don't do enough of until after basically they're out of school. So it's up to you, but you can also plan out a project as well. All right, let's hop in the CAD. CAD's probably the most important thing here. So this one I created, I got our CAD on the left. I have our 3D space right here. 3D space is basically where we have where we save all our CAD files. And then the bottom right here, I have this thing called 3D Play, which is a great way to quickly take a look at a part and basically open it up and take a quick view, just like you would do in eDrawings. So if I were to go into, let's see, this one, fall semester with Mike Leary, I have a bunch of parts in here, different things. And what I can do is I can quickly just drag one of those into 3D Play. If I'm a teacher and I want to take a look at it, or a student wants to take a quick look at it, and full screen it, and this is kind of like our eDrawings. We have a part here. This is where you kind of have those X-shaped blobs, but then our XDesign, you know, machine parts. And you get that in there. You can go to tools. You can do a section view if you want to cut the thing in half, change how much you want to cut it and whatnot. But then you can also measure. So if I wanted to measure specific points, I can go in here and measure it as well. And then also I can make notes. So I can add like a comment and say, you know, this looks good. And I can place it exactly where I want, and I can validate it. And then what I can do is I can actually, remember I showed you the community. Well, I can actually post that directly, post a screenshot or save a screenshot. I can print it out, but I can also share it directly. Takes its picture right there, directly to the community, the Getting Started community, or I can do a conversation. So I have a conversation with Mike Leary, and I can post it directly to him saying, hey, your homework looks good, and post it directly to him. Now, let me minimize that real quick. Let's do this. Let me show you real quick how easy it is to create a tab while that other thing's loading. So I'm going to grab XDesign. Oops, that's why. This guy. Sorry, I just deleted some old tenants, something you'll never have to deal with, but something I had to deal with, and that's why things weren't popping up. I'm going to bring in 3D space. Of course, it's going to make me select this on every single one of them. Once again, this is only something I have to deal with. You never will. So you can bring these two CAD tools in there, just like this. You can resize them any way you want. You can add multiple instances of XDesign if you wanted to, but then also you can make it nice and fit to the screen. And that way you can just move side to side. So it's really easy to change this around as a teacher and make it the best view for the student. Now, if I want to do a new component inside XDesign, I can click New Component. I can choose a space, do Year 1 Student. These are your collaboration spaces. Now, what we suggest is that you don't allow the students to kind of save to the common space, because common space is like that generic folder. It's like saving to your desktop. Like it's a generic folder that's there, and anybody that goes in that desktop can see the files. Instead, you can create individual collaboration spaces and actually, you know what? We'll do that right now. Hold on. I'm going to create my own collaboration space. So let's say this is Ryan's. Let's say this is let's say fall period 2 2020. So I'm going to create this. I'm going to create this collaboration space. This is going to be the space for the class to use for fall, period 2 2020. Now in this collaboration space, if I go full screen, I'm going to have no files in here, but I can show you what it looks like, where I can see who has access to it and what level of access. If I wanted to add someone else, like for example, if I wanted to add my colleague, Mike Leary, I can actually search for him in the system, add him as a contributor, add members. And once this updates, you'll see Mike is now a contributor on here. And I can actually change his access to an author or a leader or owner. Most of the time, you're just going to have the students as contributor, and that's fine. If you're giving them their own collaboration spaces to create their own files, then you can add them as authors. But Mike's now in there as well. I have my own collaboration space. And then from here, when I go to new component, I get to choose where I want to save that part. So you now see I have fall period 2 2020. So I can save my part in that location. I'm going to full screen XDesign so we can take a look at this. And because it's a brand new collaboration space, it might take a moment because it has to reconnect everything in the background, which is also good. Everything's nice and connected. We have a PLM system kind of built in the background around this whole thing, so you can see what status a file is. Like if I'm working on this file right now, it's checked out, it's being used. And then once a student is done working on a file, they close it, and that way you can open it because it's not checked out by them. And I'll show you what that looks like. Now, left side, Design Manager, the bottom, all your features. And as you can see, Joe, where you're talking, these all look identical. This all works with these icons. Surfaces, assemblies, and if you do use sheet metal is actually going to be added in October. So we have that sheet metal coming as well. So the nice thing about cloud is we can keep adding things in as time goes on, and there's no install. So this is unlike Fusion. If you've used Fusion before, you still have to install something. There is zero install. I can use this on a Chromebook. I can use this on my phone if I want to. I can actually, as a teacher, if you're using the students or using the community, you can actually answer questions on your phone. You can just log into the community and just answer questions. So it's pretty much access from anywhere. Now, let's create a super simple part. I'm going to open a sketch on this top surface. The first thing you might notice is we actually did change. Let me show you real quick. We did change to the proper XYZ coordinate system, Z being up. I actually never, because I've been using SOLIDWORKS for so long, I didn't notice that we were one of the only ones that did, the X going up, or sorry, the Y going up. And I was like, why is X always towards us? Now it makes sense, piece of paper, down on the table, but then at the same time, like it's better this way. So they did do that, which I did appreciate. We go normal to. I'm going to add a rectangle in here, just super simple. Press escape, just like you would in SOLIDWORKS. Click on this line if I want to add a smart dimension. Now I could go turn smart dimensions on, or I could just click on this gray dimension and type in 200, and then boom, adds a smart dimension. Love this. Don't have to turn on smart dimensions. You can literally just start adding smart dimensions as you go. If you want to add it between, like, let's say, put an angle in, you can control select 2 of them, and then the angle pops up and you can do it. So it's really nice. That is one of the things. They did a lot of his small improvements like that, where it makes it a little bit easier. One of my favorite ones, which I think you'll use this in the class, when you do this, and you do this, and you lose your part, and you want to say a word that starts with F, just press the F key instead, and it's zoom to fit. My old boss told me that one, and I thought that was great. Now we got our part in here.
That word is fiddlesticks, right?
Yeah, fiddlesticks.
Right back.
Exactly. I'm glad you knew it. So we got our basic part in here, dimensions in, and if we go to features, we could exit the sketch, like you can, but you can also just click directly on the feature extrude and open that right up. Now we can go back to isometric view to take a look at what it is. And we can choose our, you see here, we have a lot of different options, just like in SOLIDWORKS. Direction 2, advanced, we have blind, up to geometry, mid-plane, all the same stuff. Now, if the student doesn't really know which one to use, if you press F1, it actually pops up with this user assistance thing. And this is basically like your help menu. But it really well describes how each, and gives a nice visual. They did a really good job with this thing. A visual of how each one works, how the extrudes work, or how the cut extrudes work, and how they cut things away, and a full description of each thing, and how all the optional direction 2 and advanced works as well. Now this works for any option you have open. What was that, Joe?
Great. I said I really like that. That's great.
Yeah. So if I was, for example, if I was on instead revolve, and you can switch between revolve right here, and I go to F1, you're going to see the information for revolve. They also did this where I can basically switch. I don't have to go back down here. And so if a student accidentally clicked extrude and they're like, man, I meant to hit extrude cut. Notice how the cut button's right there. I can switch to revolve, sweep. I can do whatever I want right in this one menu. So if I do 35, click the top surface, open a new sketch, I press the S key, just like in SOLIDWORKS, and grab a circle, put this in there, and I want to go to features, and I forgot to click extrude cut, and I just did extrude. You can see here, I just switched to cut. I don't have to leave the menu. I don't have to cancel it and redo it. So these are the little things they added in that makes life a lot easier. And also, guys, I'm in the browser. This thing's moving great. Like, it's super smooth. It works really well. I can switch between my different views really easy. Hit the space bar, bring up the cube, just like in SOLIDWORKS. Switch between stuff, no problem. And this is all in the browser. I think the minimum megabyte per second internet we suggest is 4. So most have probably 4. I know there are some cases where students don't have internet that fast, but even if you were to use the cellular data on your phone, it would be faster. That's almost always faster than 4 megabytes. So I'm gonna do a cut. I'm gonna change this to through all both, throw it in there. And now I'm gonna hit save. Now we do have a save button. Always gets brought up. We do have a save button, and there's a reason for that. The reason is temporary data. So if we did autosave, that consumes a ton of temporary data because you need to be able to undo it a good amount of times. Now, but with an autosave, you can only undo it. Basically, it usually creates a generic amount of undos. So you have it's like a 10 or something. If we do save points, it actually allows us to undo between save points as long as you have it open. If you close the part, just like in SOLIDWORKS, you close the part, you reopen it, you don't have your undos because it gets rid of that temporary data. But we basically allow more undos because we have the save function, and we thought that was more of a pro than the autosave, because unfortunately with CAD, usually you undo stuff. So we figured that was, and also almost every other software still has save function. So we still get the floppy disk. For those of you who did use floppy disks, I remember installing Doom back in the day using a floppy disk. So I still have that, and Warcraft. But this is the other button I want to show you, the close button. So before I go into X shape, we do have a close button, and this is where that PLM thing comes in. And this is really good for students because they're basically kind of getting used to using a PLM system without actually having to know how to use a PLM system. So they use it, they open a part, they make it, they save it, they're done, and then they hit close. Easy. And that close checks the file back in so that you can then open it and take a look at it, or someone else can take a look at it. So it's just like you're hitting close at the top of the screen, like inside SOLIDWORKS. When you're done with SOLIDWORKS, you close it. It's the same thing. You click the close button. Now, I'm going to change this product name super quick. I have physical product 1. If I click once and click twice, I can just change it to demo part 1. And that'll actually, and then if I hit save or Control S, we do use Control Save just like you would on a regular computer. That'll actually change now I just renamed it like that. Simple, easy. Now, if I want to go into those blob X-shaped subdivision models, if I press the X key, I can actually swap directly over. Oh, actually, one sec. It does this one thing I need to do. as I said, you guys will never have to deal with this. This is just because I'm on like 4 tenants. So it yells at me because I got rid of some of the tenants. If I just go down here. Perfect. If I press the X key and I go to X shape, I can take my CAD model, the 3D model, machine-like model like we always do in CAD, and I can bring that directly over to X shape, and I can start adding models to it that are more organic, more blob-like. If you were doing like, if you were making, one of the things we had was a prosthetic. A lot of the mechanics inside the prosthetic need to be very machined and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you want the end of the prosthetic to actually be like nice looking. So they basically added like a casing over the top of the prosthetic that was more looking like a leg. And it was so easy to do. So if I wanted to, I can grab this like quad ball. I'm gonna click on the top view and I'm gonna put this thing right in the middle. I can then scale it any way I want. I can do giant or small, something like that. Press check. And then from here, I can change the way I view the grid. See how there's a grid on the ball now? Those are my subdivisions that I can click on and move around. I like this view where I can show the cage. The cage is I think a little nicer because I can see exactly what I'm clicking on. But if I go to the bottom here, whoop. Oh no, don't do this to me. One sec. Let me do something super quick. There's one tiny little bug that's getting fixed in the next update, and it's just that exactly what you just saw there, where the mouse gets stuck and it just keeps rotating around. No. Go over here. All right, well, will I be able to do it? I'm trying to think if there's a way to get that to stop. We can do this. There is one way to do it. And this is like one of those things that pops up like once in a blue moon that apparently is getting fixed in October. Fit. Sorry about that. And that's how easy it is to open a part as well. You literally just drag it in.
Those little bugs always know when you're doing a demo.
You know, I've actually never had that one pop up during a demo. This is the first time. So it was one of those ones where I'm like, really? You're going to happen right now? So once the part's open, yep, now it's gone. So in here, what I can do is I'm going to edit the subdivision. I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go to edit. And this subdivision models don't really have a history to them because they're just kind of blobs. But I can do some cool things like, for example, if I select these 4 quadrants, I can kind of extrude these, kind of make these, pop these out, and kind of make some little legs there. I can also cut a hole. Let's say I want to cut a hole straight through this thing. I can click those 2 and then boom, straight through the whole thing. I can also, you know, select different surfaces here, multiple ones, and this is where you can drag things. So I can, you know, drag along one of these planes. I can drag it like straight up, down, whatever I want to do. But then also I can, let's say this is the way I wanted it, something like that. Maybe I just want some feet and kind of like something, I don't know what I'm making right here. But I can exit this, and then I can swap back over to XDesign, and I can trim. Let's say I only really wanted the base here. Maybe I was making like a piggy bank. I don't know. Once once the base is made, I don't need the top section. I can then go back over to XDesign and I can just cut that top off. I can just literally chop it right off and won't matter at all. Process faster.
It looks like you made a molar.
I get to show you some cool little things though. Hold on, watch this. So if you did have a crash on you, just like a student, and I'm going to do just the good old F5 refresh, but you see this little button right here, restore. It took a temporary data save of what I was doing, and I can actually restore what that was just to the point where I was at. So even if my screen crashes and I didn't hit save, I can restore it right away. Now I can go the X key again. I can go back to XDesign. And then in here, you know, I click on this surface here, open a sketch, add a rectangle in. Like this. Now, if I want to do sketch relations, I can control select these two and pop up with all the different sketch relations, and I can make these two collinear. And I can then go to features, extrude. Obviously, I don't want an extrude, but I can do a cut, change it through both ways, check, and boom, chops that away. So being able to switch between our nice free-form shapes, and you can see like, it's so, like, this is crazy. If you've used surfacing before, it's insane to be able to do surfacing this complex that easy. Like it's crazy. But then also be able to swap back over and trim stuff away nice and easy. So pretty cool. So that's what I wanted to show you on that side of it. Once again, you can hit save at the end. And then once it's done saving the component, you can then close it, which means that it checks it back in, which as a teacher, you can then grab this file and then open it in your XDesign because you're the admin of all the collaboration spaces, and you can take a look at their part and all the features. So I'm going to stop there. As you can tell, there's lots of cool things that this thing has to offer. It has probably more things than you guys need. I know that most of the time that's the case, but it's completely cloud. It has everything you need. And if there is if you do need drafting, as I said, February is when XMBD, model-based definition, is going to be added in, and that'll be when you can do the drafting on the 3D model. So I'll leave it open for questions right now. Does anybody, or definitely wanted to leave some time? Perfect. 14 minutes for questions.
So I have a question. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Diane.
Hopefully a quick question. I'm the CT director, so I'm not looking at this from the expert teacher perspective, so I can't really do the heavy comparison of programs, but I know in the district we do purchase Solid Professor and
Yep.
we have a Solid Professor, SolidWorks license, and then if we were to purchase this, do we need all three, and how do these compare from a curriculum perspective? I think that what the teachers needed was something that mimicked SolidWorks closely enough that students who want to do an industry recognized certification, for example, they can.
Yep.
So tell me from the, I'm writing the check perspective,
Yeah.
can we give one of those up? Do we need all three?
Yeah, great question. I think and here's actually something I'll show you just to kind of help you make decisions on what you think you should do. So what I like to do is I always like to, I've seen Andy's definitely seen me show this information before, but I always like to go to like Indeed.com. Just do a job search. It's always the best way to see it. And what I like to do is show a comparison. Now, right now, obviously with students at home and working at home, it's definitely a weird scenario. We're not used to it. Everybody's uncomfortable. Actually, I'm actually very comfortable. I like working at home, but usually it's not the case. So if we were to take a look, for example, just in the US at like SolidWorks jobs, and if you didn't already hear me say, I'm in Portland, but if we were to look for SolidWorks jobs, actually, went up like 200. It usually is around 6,000, if not more, jobs around the US. So a lot of jobs. If you were to search CATIA, our other company that we own, if you know CAD software, you're going to see, 1100. And then if you were to search like Autodesk Inventor, 400. If you were to search, their other product, Fusion 360. I think it pops up as, I think there's a space in the name, right? Is there a space in the name? We'll go for it. 162. Or if you were to take a look at Onshape, 47. So whenever I talk to someone that's trying to make a decision on what they want to purchase, I always like to show them, take a look at what's out there. Even take a look in your local area, look in your state, and see what there is for jobs. Now, as I mentioned, this platform is brand new. So it's only been around since March. You're not going to see a ton of jobs for it because it's brand new. But when you look at the fact of combining SolidWorks and CATIA, which are both owned by Dassault Systems, you see those two combined are more than all the other ones. So you have one being produced by a company that has the majority of the market. Now, at the same time, you're talking about certifications. We have 4 certifications already created right now for the platform. And we have a 5th and 6th one coming specifically for XDesign and XShape. And so, Joe, I'm sure you're familiar with the CSWA and Certified SolidWorks Associate, and we will have a comparable one for that for the platform coming out in hopefully the next few months. Now, we did test. You can actually take the CSWA using the platform. There's actually no issue at all. You can take our base level association exam, no problem using the platform. You just got to import the files for the assembly, and that's it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to what you need, I'm not sure how Solid Professor sells their stuff. I know that they are creating curriculum specifically for the platform right now. We are actually working with them on that. So they are creating curriculum. We do have e-learning, just to show you what it looks like. Have you heard of mysolidworks.com? So on mysolidworks.com, if you were to search XDesign. So if you were to do XDesign and you were to go to training, you would see this whole thing for Explore the 3D Creator role. Now this has a whole e-learning module specifically for students and then commercial to learn the basics of the platform and when it comes to XDesign. You can see there's 20+ videos here. Each one is I'll show you. Hopefully the audio isn't too loud. But each one is a full e-learning course where it does introduction, presentation, and then at the end, it even has a review with questions. So any of your students that log in and do this, you can actually say, hey, I want to make sure you have to get at least 80% or higher. I think there's 5 or 6 questions in order to have it, say pass for that section or for this specific video. You can see the percent completion. So we have a lot of stuff built in, but we will see a lot of schools, going back to using SolidWorks once they're back in the classroom. It is a very, very robust software. And as you saw, it has the majority of jobs out in the industry. But XDesign is extremely similar. So when you go back to the classroom, if you do, hopefully we're hoping, it doesn't take a whole another year before that happens. But they are very similar and it'll be an easy transition. So I think now, it's good to have a solution for the students at home. But as you saw from jobs, they're probably still going to see a SolidWorks job when they work in the future, in the current future. That will change though. Everybody's switching to cloud. Cloud. Everything is going cloud. So this will be the future. And this will be where you guys get to hop on the bandwagon early, I guess you could say.
So your software, the program that you just showed us, that is actually a SolidWorks environment. I mean, it's mimicking SolidWorks, right? So
it's made by SolidWorks R&D. So the same people that created SolidWorks are working on this.
So students are in effect getting SolidWorks experience through that web-based program.
Exactly. I don't know if you saw when I showed the icons and everything, Joe immediately was like, "Yep, those are the same." So it is a slightly different layout, but the way it works with the feature design manager on the side with the feature and the history and the mass and the materials and all that stuff is very similar.
Okay, so if we needed to save money, which I don't know yet if I'm in that boat, but if we needed to drop one of the programs, would we be able to drop SolidWorks and have the teachers still teach their curriculum? And maybe that's not something you can answer. Maybe that's a question for the teachers, but teachers are starting today, so they weren't able to be in this meeting right now.
Yeah. I think with COVID going on, the best route, because of Chromebooks, is some cloud-based software. I mean, for right now, I think that's kind of the way that you, unfortunately, you're kind of forced to go, especially with Chromebooks. It's not really a choice, unfortunately.
We have stream.
And there's really only like 2 or 3 softwares out there that are fully web-based that mimic what industry uses. There's obviously other ones out there like Tinkercad and other ones in Google SketchUp, but those don't mirror industry at all. Those are just quick CAD tools. So you only have a few options for that. And then, as I mentioned, you know, jobs out there, yeah. So, I mean, I never really suggest, I don't know, it's all to what you want to do, because if you get back in the classroom, you know, within a few months, you already have SolidWorks installed on all the machines, and then you can transition back, no problem. But at the same time, you also then have the ability for the students to continue to learn at home with a Chromebook, no issue. So I don't know. It all depends on what you guys want to do. I don't want to influence too much one way or another, because there's some schools that are using both, and they're very content with that. So I think it comes down to what you guys want to do.
Okay,
But
thank you.
there's pros and cons to both.
Dan, I can throw a little bit of something in. I know, well, I don't know anything at this point, but most likely it's going to be a hybrid system going in, and this would work seamlessly with hybrid too. And whether that lasts another try or semester or the whole next year, at least this would work seamlessly with that. So yeah, if you did have to save money, I would say, yeah, drop the SolidWorks. Now, learning this platform for me is going to be overwhelming. There's holy criminy a bunch to it.
And don't worry, I'll be helping you.
All right, cool, Ryan.
Yeah, don't worry.
I'll be
Myself
calling you on a daily
and-
basis.
Yeah, myself and Andy, once we're working on getting most of the resellers up to speed, but we will get hands-on training. Well, not hands-on, virtual hands-on training from us. Don't worry.
Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, so you know, I know that's something I can learn. And there, like you're saying, there's a million components I'm probably not going to use on this thing, but you know, I can get a basis down. So yeah, Diane, just to cabbage onto yours, I think if you had to get rid of your SolidWorks and go with this, because it's going to work pretty seamlessly in the transition period of hybrid learning or whatever else. So anyway, there's my 2 cents worth.
Another
Thank you.
thing to keep in mind is SolidWorks is a perpetual license, so it's actually not going to go anywhere. You can just not pay the annual subscription for a while until the world goes back to normal, and then make the decision then. But the SolidWorks licenses aren't going to go away. They're always going to be there where this product is, in a lot of ways, a Band-Aid to get us through this period. And then when it's over, then you can sort of make the decision at that point, okay, do we want to continue with this? Do we want both? Do we want just SolidWorks? But just know your SolidWorks license are perpetual licenses. They're not going to go anywhere, and they'll be there waiting for you when the world goes back to normal.
The new world, unfortunately, won't be the same, but it will be. We're all learning new things, though. Did you think you were going to do this much virtual meetings and training? It's actually kind of cool. I'm doing like game nights with my friends, and they're all across the U.S. And I'm like, this is sweet. I get to do this now. We never thought about this.
And,
I kinda
we
like
don't
it.
have to wear pants.
Oh, you caught me.
I don't want to go back to meetings as usual. I don't want to travel for meetings. I like this.
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
I see Melissa agrees too. Yeah, it is nice. It's nice to be like, I work at home, and you have an office too, but you work at home as well. And it's just so nice to be able to just like get work done. Like I get so much more done now than I did driving to the office, having the random chit chat with people that I probably don't even want to talk to. But I can talk to the people I want to, like on a web call, and it's nice. Students are definitely the only thing I do feel bad for is the interaction between students, because they don't get that as much. But if they do play games and other things, or you guys could do virtual like hangouts, just casual stuff, because remember, not all of them have the ability to do things like this. So you could set up just like just throw on a web meeting, turn it on, and then just like peace out and be like, hey guys, I'm just gonna throw this on for you guys to use if you guys want to chat, and literally like leave, and then let them just kind of like chat and hang out. So you do it's we have a ways around it, which is kind of cool. I never thought of doing that. It would actually be kind of cool. But
So embedded in this platform, there's all kinds of ways to meet virtually, but there's not like what we're doing now, which is a Zoom. There's no video anything, correct?
So there is video between individuals. You can actually call in video between individual students and yourself. But that is something there's actually some cool stuff they're working on right now. One of them is like a giant whiteboard where basically you can do ideas and write them all down, and then you can actually assign them to individual people like a task. And it's like this giant whiteboard for literally what's behind you. You can like have everybody like kind of put stuff on different things. But for the meeting part, I don't think yet. I know there's full conversations about it because one of the things Dassault likes to do is they like to basically create their own version of something, for good or for bad. I could argue sometimes that's not always the best thing. I would love to use Salesforce, but they say, no, we're going to make something. And I'm like, okay. But for this aspect, I mean, having the web-based thing in the platform is something they are talking about. It's not there yet. Do you guys use Google Meets or Google? Okay. I know a lot of people use that, or Zoom are the two go-to ones. And those work just fine. And I think because you guys are using things outside of this as regular classes, you're always going to need that other thing. So it won't be a replacement.
I'm sorry that I somehow missed this. Sorry for the question, but what's the name of this program?
So the overall thing by Dassault is just called the 3D Experience Platform. So 3D Experience, one word, platform. This one that we just showed you is called 3D Designer for Education. We usually just call it 3D Designer.
Okay, I know I saw that somewhere. So
yeah, it was on one of the slides in the beginning, something like that.
Thanks.
School starts for us on the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have these next couple of days just to crank out the curriculum we want to use and put it in a classroom.
Sure.
How do we get a quote sent to us so we can get it as quickly as possible and get Joe in there loading stuff up with your help, Ryan?
Yeah, so just besides the quote part, when it comes to like the classroom, we would train the teachers, get you up to speed. I can do like hour, 2-hour sessions, like a few just to get you guys up and running and going. And then I also have a specific, and actually, when Andy answers the next part of this, I'm gonna grab the file, but I have actually a file that has about 50 practice problems. They were originally designed for SolidWorks, but we designed them in a way that could be used for this.
Okay.
So they're perfect to use as homework problems or whatever you want. So I'm actually gonna put those in the chat now so you guys can grab them. But then also we have the e-learning module I showed you for XDesign and XShape. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. So when it comes to creating something, I could help you guys put some basic stuff together to get something out the door to get going. A lot of the beginning is just going to be going through those videos and using that in the class to go through.
Okay.
So you
but I mean, that
like
could happen this week. We could get that done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to know how many users you're going to have total, and I can get you a quote. And,
for the year, probably. Okay, I can give you that.
Yep.
I'll email it to you.
Yeah, and Ryan, would that be for the year or just for a
for the year
quarter?
Yep,
okay.
For the year.
I'll give you
the years that we have right now for pricing.
Okay.
Like, so, well, I'm thinking if, let's say the first quarter, they have so many students, and then next quarter they have a totally different students, so they need different accounts for those different students.
Yeah, so the way it works is basically you can, what's it called? You can add those students for like the first semester or quarter. And then once that semester is done, you can just get rid of all of them. And then you can add a whole nother set. So, or if some schools, what they're doing is you can actually purchase as you go as well. Like if you wanted to do 30 now, and then you wanted to add 30 more on top of that, we can add more on top whenever we want to. But
if I purchase 30, could I reuse the 30 next trimester? So you
would remove the students and you would add a whole nother 30 in.
Okay, so I just need to give you a number that we would use with different students.
Yeah, the number, it depends, because if you do want to use, and now I just want to point out, there are some schools that want the students to use it outside the classroom. So they want them to keep using it the rest of the semester. In that case, you want to take a look at the number that is good for all the students to use it for a year. But just think about those numbers, and also you must include the teachers using it because they use a role. So if Joe is teaching and then he had 29 students, 30 would be the number. But if he had 30 students in him with one, you probably want to get 2 30s because you need enough for that.
Okay.
So it's seats, not specific students, and we can use those seats for whoever comes and goes.
Yeah, you need to remove the user. That's why we call it named users. Because it's like Adobe, if you have like 10 named users in there and you get rid of the 10, you
Oh.
can add a whole new 10 back in,
Yeah.
because you've got those roles back to give.
Got it.
And Melissa,
Okay.
just remind you still have you have a credit from the laser I picked up last summer.
I know. I keep telling Joe he needs to make a decision. Joe, make a
put that
decision.
Yeah, on the quote.
Yes, that would be good. We'll use it
I
there.
just made the decision.
Okay.
This is what I
Good.
was waiting for. I did.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, slap it on the
Please tell
quote.
me. So, and I did put a Google Drive link in there right now. That's to that training content that I talked about. It's just basically example problems. We basically created this whole set of example problems that increase in difficulty as you go. And it describes everything in the beginning of it, teacher version and student version. And it can be used perfectly for a class. Like you could just basically choose what you want to do for what day, and you have a whole class right there.
Okay.
So it's real simple, but you can use it any way you want.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. So to follow up, we'll have Andy get to talk to you guys about the different pricing. He'll get you some yearly numbers and the different pack sizes we have, so you can take a look. But let us know what the number is of teachers and students that you would want, either for the whole year to continuously use it, or for just each, what the max number would fit for like the semester or the quarter or so on.
Okay. And then for scheduling just trainings with you, does Joe reach out to you directly, or how does that work?
Yeah, so what we'll do is you'll want to contact, and he can get you guys in contact to me with my email. We'll basically pick a time that works for both of us, and we'll do some training. I'm gonna do some basic, like get you up and started, and then I want you to like take a day, just kind of play around with it, and then we'll do another one. But I'm gonna you want to go through those XDesign tutorials, because that's gonna help out a ton. But the first day is basically gonna be setting everything up, creating like that dashboard for the students to use and all the basic stuff. And then you can use it and play around with it. And then I can help you through the rest of the stuff. And you'll have my cell phone and stuff like that, so you can ping me.
Oh boy.
And Andy, they'll be joining us as well to make sure that they're also getting up to speed on some of these things. As I said, it's brand new. So,
Okay.
But yeah, we're here to help. We want to make sure you guys have what you need. So we're not trying to like do anything, whatever works for you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, so and you follow up with them, and then just let me know, and then we'll
do it.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you for dealing with me. I usually have a bar background going on, but my chroma cam thing wasn't working. I like to make it pretend like we're in a bar, but it didn't work. Sorry guys. No bar this time.
That's preferred for education.
Yeah, right. Well, I figured that's why it's funny. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
You're right.
All right. Bye.